Welcome to Pub Natter, where we record each episode in a different pub in Rutland, the smallest county in England. In each episode, your hosts, Tim and Justin, give a voice to the landlords and landladies and a special guest with a specific area of interest or expertise. We hope you enjoy our chats and it encourages you to go and explore our little county and all it has to offer. Like the motto says, there is much in little. This podcast was recorded at the Angler in Oakham, Rutland. We have two guests, Will Hetherington, famous for his series of books on walking in the Rutland and Stamford area, and Wakar, the new manager of the Angler. The podcast begins with our chat with Will. When rain stops play, it's time for some pub natter. We're with Will Hetherington, and who is famous for writing books about walking and visiting pubs, which is great because we like both those things. So, Will, first of all, just start off by telling us a bit about your background. Where were you originally from?
Good question. My dad was in the RAF.
Was he?
Yep, yeah, he was a navigator. So I, having moved around a bit, we were on camps in Germany for a couple in RAF Larbrook and RAF Bruggen, and then like a lot of RAF kids at the time, I was sent off to boarding school at Stamford because it was either that or keep moving all the time. So I did 8 years at Stamford. I joined in 87 and left in 95.
All right.
Which was great. I really enjoyed it. So I, one way or another, I sort of am born and bred Stamford because my dad was actually based at Wittering when I was born. I was born in Stamford Hospital. And then I went off to uni when I left school.
Where did you go to uni?
I went to Hull and I did a law degree, which I didn't really enjoy that much, but I thought, well, I didn't hate it so much that I wanted to change, so I stuck it out. But as soon as I finished university, I sort of took a change of tack, and I went and did a postgraduate journalism training course, newspaper journalism training course at Sheffield College. So I trained to be a newspaper journalist, and then I left there in 1999.
Did you go into
and
journalism?
I never did a day's work in newspaper journalism. I went straight.
What were you thinking of? Presumably you must have
No, I wanted to work in the world of journalism. I left the college on the Friday and started work on the Monday in magazines as opposed to newspapers.
Okay.
I did.
Not so far.
Not so far, no. But it probably was a waste of time learning the 100 words a minute shorthand and doing all the legal stuff, the law courts, and all of that. However, it was a really good base. It was a great course and much more vocational than a university degree, and put me in good stead when I started my magazine journalism. And I've worked in magazine publishing all my life. That's my sort of day job.
Really?
Yep.
So what magazine did you start with?
I started working for a company called Bourne Publishing Group, who no longer exists sadly, and they were actually based in Stamford at the time. I spent most of my working career working in the sort of country sports magazine sector, and I'm still involved in that world now. That's my day job anyway.
Right.
Is it booming or shrinking or?
Well, the consumer magazine world
It's shrinking.
took a terrible knock, from 2008 onwards.
What happened in 2008?
Smartphones, basically. That was the major change. I was an editor of a magazine at the time, so I saw what happened. Basically, circulation of consumer titles really took a damaging blow then, and the world has changed a lot since then. It's like anything, isn't it? Things change, and you have to roll with it. If you were a farmer in 1946 thinking that you'll be all right with your horses forever, you're not going to be, are you? It's the same now with AI. Looking at a massive shift, so that's going to be very interesting.
So did you move from print work into online?
Digital? What happened in 2017? I left that work for personal reasons. To be honest, I sort of took a year out really, but. And now I'm back in the working world, and I love it. But I actually work now for the British Association for Shooting and Conservation. I'm head of publications there. So
Of what? Say again?
the British Association for Shooting and Conservation. So it's the association for, well, exactly what it says, shooting and conservation.
Yeah.
And we've got 150,000 members. So it's the main representative body for that sort of country's sports sector.
To the uninitiated, shooting and conservation sound diametrically opposed, but I do know a little bit, and I know that they are connected. But could you just explain?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll take your point, and it's you're absolutely fair to say that. But actually, the more, if you speak to anyone who's involved in land management for shooting, for all purposes, whether that's deer stalking, wild fowling, pigeon shooting, well, you don't manage the land for pigeon shooting, you shoot the pigeons to protect the crop, and game shooting.
I shoot mine to protect my patio.
Well, yeah, or to protect your patio, yeah. Then, all people involved in land management for shooting purposes are actually doing a huge amount of conservation work at all times. And I realise it may sound like a bit of an oxymoron, but the truth is, sadly,
I was teasing.
Yeah, sadly, it's not very well known how much conservation work is done by, well, that sector of the rural community. And it's it's something that we have to work on very hard actually to try and get that point across. But that is that's my day job, but I've been doing the walks for a long time. So they do go hand in hand, because obviously I'm used to editing and writing, and have been doing my whole working life.
Sure. So
it's a great pleasure for me to write or edit anything that people go and read.
I can hear you itching to plug your book.
Well, before you do that, did you get into walking locally, or did you get into walking in other parts of the country or other parts of the world?
Well, locally, really, through having dogs, really, through having Labradors. So
I could have guessed they were Labradors. Have you got a Barber jacket and green wellies as well?
Of course I have, yeah. I've got plenty of them.
And don't let me guess, a Land Rover.
No, I don't have a Land Rover, no. I live in a narrow street in Stamford. It wouldn't fit. And I can't afford one. But no, sorry, what was the question? Walking. Walking is, obviously when you've got the dogs you do that anyway. And the story is, some people I knew set up Active magazine in 2012, and they wanted a walking column in it, and they asked if I would like to do it, and I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm delighted to do that. So that got me going on a monthly walking column, which I would be doing anyway with the dogs. It just meant obviously getting in the car and going and exploring and finding new routes.
So not dissimilar to your dad.
Yeah. Although I think he's quite a lot better at navigating than I am.
Same skill. One's in the air, one's on the ground.
Yeah, true. Very true.
You can see where you're going better from the air. You have no idea what's around the corner when you're on the ground. It could be a bull or something in the field.
Yeah. I think he's probably moving a bit faster in that tornado than I do as well. We started walking, doing the columns in Active magazine, and actually it always gave me a lot of pleasure, and the more we did it over the years, so that was 2012 when we started doing that, more and more people would say, when I bumped into them, are you ever going to write a book of walks? Because it's really hard to keep them filed in a magazine. You've only got one walk a month, and they wanted them all in one place. And we'd say, well, maybe one day. And then, more and more people were saying that. And in the end, we reached a point where we thought, well, we may as well have a look at doing that. And that was in 2020 when we did the first book. and by sheer coincidence, when we sort of planned it, we didn't know COVID was going to happen, and we didn't know the only thing that people were going to be able to do was go walking. But then when it came out, that is what happened. So at the end of 2020, the first book came out, and it's been a great success ever since.
So was your first book a compilation of all the stuff you had in the magazine?
No, it wasn't. There were one or two of the walks in there were, existing walks, but quite a few of them were brand new. So on my behalf, that involves a lot of research because it's getting out in the car, finding new routes, and obviously in the book I'm trying to provide a range of different walks that they're ranging from sort of 2 miles up to 8 miles, a range around the area as well. So the area is very much Rutland and Stamford, but there's a wider circumference around it.
Sure, yeah. Well, you're going to step outside of Rutland occasionally.
Yes, you do have to step outside of Rutland occasionally. Although as you guys both know, Rutland is pretty good for walking and pubs.
Yeah.
This is the 4th book now, the Will's Pub Walks, and I've tried to put essentially brand new walks in all of them. And some of them are repeats because they're just too good not to be. But on the whole, they are largely new routes.
So you've just remind you, you've finished your first book.
Yes.
So what happened then?
What happened then?
So how did you market that?
Oh, right. Okay. Good question. I still write the walking columns for Active magazine, and we market it through Active and the distribution network of the magazine. So Active is is edited by Mary Bremner, and she and Kate and Lisa, who she worked with, take care of all the distribution of the magazine, and that side of it. I write it, and Matt Tarrant designs it, and he's an award-winning magazine designer, which has really helped, make it look make it look like the sort of book that people really want to buy. So we've actually been a really good team on that. But like a lot of things, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. It doesn't just sort of happen.
So how long would it have taken you to start off with, like, right, I'm going to try and get another walk, to actually finishing it and saying, right, here it is, I've got it down and as a guide?
What, one walk or one book?
One walk.
Oh, well, the process is... This will please the traditionalists. The process involves a paper OS map, and looking at it, trying to think, okay, does that look like it's going to work? I would always try for a circular route rather than out and back, and then drive to some village that it might be the other side of Melton Mowbray, which I maybe wouldn't have been to before, and then think, right, okay, let's go and give it a shot. And some days I would go and do the walk and think, well, that was just one of the best walks you could have. You've got a lovely babbling brook and some lovely trees, and it's nice underfoot, and you think, well, it's just a perfect 4-miler. And then there are other days where I go and do it, and I think, well, I can't.
You end up trudging through a bog.
Yeah. Oh, I do a lot of trudging through bogs.
I wouldn't do that again.
I do a lot of trudging through bogs, yeah. And no, there'll be reasons why it just doesn't work. And I have to sit back and think, I can't, in all honesty, write that up and say this is a good walk.
Yeah.
And that's not anyone's fault, is it? It's just, I did one the other day over in near Tugby on the A47, and the key there is that on the A47, you couldn't get away from the noise of the road at any point, and that's not really going to work for something that's meant to be a sort of tranquil escape from the modern world. So I did the whole walk and got home and thought, well, that one won't even, nothing I can do with that.
Yeah.
But then you put that down to experience.
Yeah.
And that, it's all part of the fun.
What are the essential ingredients for a good Will's walk?
Almost always a circuit, so a loop.
I completely agree with that. Out and back walks are dull.
Yeah, they are dull.
Because it's great if you're climbing a mountain or something, and you get to the top of the mountain and you go, right, now I've got to do the same thing again, the other way, with nothing exciting at the end of it.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. I mean, very occasionally I will do an out and back walk because there's no other way, and there's one good pub at the end of it, and there's only one way to it. What are the other ingredients? I would say, rolling countryside, but not always, because the area of the walks goes out onto the fenland, and I did a lovely walk out the back of Market Deeping the other day, which is, there is no rolling countryside there, but it's beautiful by the Welland. So a river or a stream. Obviously, it is very helpful when the route is reasonably well signposted, which they generally are, but not always. And what else? Underfoot conditions, really.
Yeah.
But I can't guarantee underfoot conditions.
My wife's quite keen on walks, but she's scared to death of cows. So avoiding fields is a really key one for me.
Yeah, and that is a major stumbling block, because obviously my walks are all based on the public footpath network, and inevitably they're going to cross agricultural land.
Yeah.
And with the rotation on agricultural land, some days they're going to, some years there might be cattle there, some years there might not. But we did a lot of the Christmas fairs in Rutland in November this year. We did the big Christmas market at Barnsdale, and we did one. We were going to do the Stanford Christmas market, but that was cancelled because of the weather. And we did one at Mulsey Mill at Deeping, and another one, I can't remember what the other one was, where we speak to a lot of people who buy the book, already enjoy them or want to buy it. And that's a common theme, that understandable fear of cattle, because, they're big animals.
Yeah, if they're bullocks.
Well, or they could be protective mothers, it's very understandable, and there's not a lot I can say. I mean, I always try to point out in my walks if I've seen livestock on them, but beyond that, it's out of my hands, really.
I'm scared of cows.
Yeah.
I brave it, but I can't get by quick enough. If I'm in a field with cows, I in one end out the other. Don't make eye contact and stay as far away from them as I possibly can. Which because I go walking quite a bit with some friends, and I'll get absolutely slaughtered for it. And I'll point out that there are cows are the biggest animal killer of humans in England.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah.
I guess
there are more people killed by cows than any other animal in England. But bear in mind, we don't have snakes. Crocodiles, lions, cheetahs. So there are a limited number of things that will kill you.
What are the other contenders? I'm trying to think.
I would have thought
dogs.
I would have thought dogs would be.
And look, of course, it's perfectly normal to be scared of cows. Why wouldn't you be? But my attitude is, it's common sense. If it doesn't look good, then maybe think about a different route. But of course, sometimes there is a different route.
Yeah.
As I say, there's only so much I can do about that. I try to point out where I've seen livestock, and obviously encourage people to be very careful if they have dogs around sheep, and all the other basic common sense things that people should be aware of when you go out and walk in the countryside. Just respect, really, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. When they say keep it on a lead.
Yeah.
Keep it on a lead.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
But, how many? I'm not going to don't get started on that. So you brought your first one out.
Yes.
And that was reviewed really well. Well, it sold a few, obviously.
Yeah, it sold. Yeah. I think, as I'm sort of trying to say, really, it's not something that in a way, it's a side hustle, but it's become a very enjoyable and popular side hustle, in the sense that we printed 3,000 of the first book, and I generally thought, well, that's 10 times too many, but we sold out within 2 months, and then we said we had to do another print run, and we sold out again.
Wow.
And then we thought, well, we're on something good here. So I consequently did another book the following year and another one the following year. So all new walks in each one. And they've continued to be very popular. Then we had a break for a year. Didn't do anything in 2023. And then thought, well, let's bring this one out this year.
And you're holding that one up?
Will's Pub Walks, which is not a subtle name. This one, they are all good walks in their own right. They're really, really brilliant walks, but they do include pubs which between myself and the other guys who work on the books, we like the pubs. That's the only partnership.
Do they start and end at a pub, or encounter?
Most of them will start in a village for ease of navigation and parking. Some of them, I would think most of them, at least one of the pubs in the walk is in that village. But then, some of them are longer than others. There's a walk in here that goes Barradon, Harringworth, Seaton, Morcott, back to Barradon. So you start in Barradon with the extra arms, and then you can take in the Georgian Dragon at Seaton, over to Morcott and back again, and that's about 8 miles, I think, something like that. It's really, really beautiful walk.
And how long typically would you say that is? About 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours?
When we did the first book, I did distance and time as a guideline, and then I realised that everyone obviously walks at different paces. So we don't do time anymore, just do distance. It takes you as long as it takes you. Of course, everyone walks at different paces, don't they?
I've taken I say boys, they're 28 and 32 now, but they're on walks, and they say, so how far is it? So it's about 7 miles. It should take about 4 hours. And inevitably, I get a little bit lost. And we stop and take photos and we have a bit of lunch, and it's 5.5 hours. And by the end, the last hour I'm normally getting earache. It's become a bit of a truism. So how long do you think it is, Dad? Oh, it's about 4 hours. Right, so I need to allow 6 then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely, yeah. There's two things there. For various reasons, I ended up sort of, I wouldn't say leading large walks. Well, I do actually. Groups of friends, we go on quite large walks, and people always want to know how many miles is it, how long is it going to take. And I think the truth is, I always lie, because just knock a bit off it. And once they're on it, they're on it, aren't they?
If it's a circular walk, they are.
True, yeah.
Well, you might not notice because we're sitting down, but I'm actually quite vertically challenged. And when we go on walks, when we finish the walk and we check our steps, I've normally taken about 10% more than everybody else.
That's a bonus.
Exactly. That's a bonus. So, the other thing you said, yes, people do, morale dips near the end of a walk, doesn't it? End of day miles.
Not if there's a pub.
Well, true. If there's a beacon of light.
But those pubs get quite ephemeral, don't they? It's just around this, it's just over this rise, and then you'll be able to see it. Oh, no, there's 3 rises, that's the first one.
Oh, yeah. Always lie then as well. It's just around the next corner.
Yeah. So you've obviously been to a few pubs in and around this area.
I have, yes.
So
all through research.
And the pubs are our raison d'etre, as you know.
Yep.
And I'm also a member of CAMRA.
I am not a member of CAMRA, but I should be, really.
Yeah. In fact, join.
I should, yeah.
Join. Great Christmas present to get yourself.
Oh, that's a good idea,
yeah. And we went to the Christmas party, which was at Empingham Cricket Club.
Oh yeah, with Russ.
With Russ.
Yeah.
Some
wonderful.
Great beers, and Baker's Dozen were there hosting as well.
Yeah, and I've listened to your wonderful podcast with Dean, and I spent a lot of time in the Jolly Brewer when Dean and Jill ran it, and have a great amount of respect for them both, because they sort of know what people really want in a beer in a pub.
That's right. I agree.
And they're quite entertaining people. They're
brilliant.
Very easy for this sort of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely brilliant. But sorry, I'm interrupting you now.
But, you carry on.
You mentioned Empingham Cricket Club, and just made me think that's possibly the best pub that's not a pub in the area.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if people aren't aware and haven't been there, give it a try, because they got some amazing beers that are really well kept.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
we'll be there in March to tell you more about it.
Yes, that's true. We've got a podcast booked for March.
Oh, right. Oh, brilliant.
During their kind of like
puppy
week.
Yes, because it's the sports quiz every year is in March, around about St Patrick's Day. Yeah.
They've got 3 or 4 days of events, haven't they?
Yeah.
Planned.
Oh, well,
is it March or April? Can't remember.
March. But for our
it
listeners,
will be March. Yeah.
We will put a link on our website, so you better check it out.
Yep.
So I'm sure I read somewhere that you were a pretty decent sportsman. Played at a reasonable level, rugby, I think. And
I played a lot of rugby. Yes, I did play a lot of rugby when I was younger. And I did play a lot of rugby. Yeah, and used to really love it.
So you're obviously a Tigers fan.
Some of my
You're not going to say Saints, are you?
Some of my closest friends are very long-standing Tigers fans, and I will happily go along with them and support Tigers with them. Yes.
Sorry, that was almost as diplomatic as Alicia Kearns.
Yeah, it was.
But what can I say? I enjoy watching good rugby played by any team. I used to play a lot of rugby and I loved it. And actually, in a way, in some ways, there's no way that walking could replace rugby because they're quite different activities. One involves a lot of teammates and
drinking.
And
the other one involves drinking.
The walking bit. It's good exercise, isn't it? Walking's great exercise. It's good for your body and mind. And it doesn't always involve a pub, of course it doesn't. But if it does, and it's a nice, cosy pub, then it's an absolute bonus.
They've got a lot in common. People that don't do them think that they're both pointless, and you get covered in mud.
Yeah, we do. That is true. Yeah, you do get covered in mud in both of them. Absolutely covered in mud. Yeah.
I've never been a fan of the egg chasing, but I am a big fan of walking. But the reason I asked was because I also read that you said that the walking helped to replace the buzz of playing decent level sport.
Yeah, it does. I think
the same sort of satisfaction.
Yeah, I think it does actually. Yeah, because it's a satisfaction. Yeah, I mean, look, a 5-mile walk in the countryside around here is not, it's not the Himalayas, so it's never going to be a lung buster as such. But equally, it's bloody good exercise. It gets you out there. It's fresh air. As everyone always says, you never feel worse after a walk, even a walk in the rain. And of course, when you have dogs, you have to go and walk them every day anyway. So I know that's true. Some days you think, there's no way I'm going out there. But you go out, walk them, come home, and you feel better for it every time.
Top 3 pubs in Rutland.
Oh, I mean, one of the things. Sorry, I will come back to your question.
No.
One of the things which you guys are aware of as much as anyone is the threat to pubs. It's never been harder. I feel like if we want pubs to still be there, then we have to do our best to support them. And I know it's easier said than done sometimes. But in this country, the village pub is very much part of the fabric of the rural community.
Oh yeah.
And maybe in a way that's one of the reasons I don't really want to answer it, because I kind of think you should, if you can, make the effort to go to the
support
pub.
your local pub.
Yeah, support your local. Yeah,
good answer.
Use it or lose it. With the walks, so in Rutland, I don't know whether the residents of Linden like me very much, because I often recommend that people do a walk from Linden. Tiny little village just on the south of the Rutland water.
Yeah, I've walked through Linden. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I find myself drawn there quite often because it's only a 10-minute drive for me from Sandford, and then you can walk from there. You just walk down the valley over to Wing, where of course the King's Arms
is no longer a pub.
Yeah. Which is
closing very soon, isn't it?
I think it's closing now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they're closing just before Christmas. Very sadly for everyone who's enjoyed it over the years, but I believe that they're moving down to Devon or Cornwall, is it? Right. Cornwall, I think, perhaps. So, I think you said for a sort of a nice, gentle starter. That
little
maybe
bit take the kids or take grandma or whatever.
Down the Chater Valley. It's peaceful. It's
a river.
Yeah, the Chater's there. Yeah, nice stream. Beautiful old Linden Hall. Up to Wing, which is a pretty village. And then back again. That's a nice.
Is that
walk.
circular?
That actually, there's a bit of a circle around Wing, but you do go back to Linden the same way, or you can do a circular. You can go from Wing and then head over to Pilton, and then go back onto the road and back up to Linden, which is that's a really nice one.
Which book would that be in?
Linden features in all 3 of the original books. and is in this one because there's a really long walk in the Chater Valley and Will's Pub Walks, which...
when you say this one, you're talking about...
I'm talking about Will's Pub Walks, the latest one, which I'm pointing out, which is not a lot of use to anyone who's listening. There's a really long walk in the Chater Valley here, which takes in North and South Luffenham, Pilton, Wing, and Linden. I think it's 8 or 9 miles. And in there you've got the Fox at North Luffenham, which is a good pub. The pubs in South Luffenham, which actually I'm not so familiar with, but I know they're popular. Sadly, not the King's Arms at Wing anymore. So that's a good one. If you want an absolute humdinger, 17 miler.
17 miles?
Yeah,
how many days would you do that in?
Well, it depends how fast you walk.
One long one.
You can walk from Uppingham to Stamford. That's a beauty. That's an absolute beauty. And that goes straight across Rutland. I would recommend that. The only issue with that is your transport faff because there's no rail link.
If you were given advice to a novice, somebody's decided that they're 38, they don't want to take up golf because it's far too expensive and far too difficult, and they want to go walking instead, which is much better. Don't take up golf.
Walking's a lot cheaper than golf, yeah.
It is very much cheaper than golf and a lot less stressful.
Yes, yeah.
So what's your kind of, if you had to give a 2-minute advice clinic to a novice, footwear, clothing?
Well, footwear's a good one, obviously. Now, in this area, you're not going to need a pair of all singing, all dancing, walking, hiking boots, because you're not. We're not going up any rock faces. The sad truth is, the most valuable bit of footwear you'll have around here is a pair of wellies. And I appreciate that a lot of people think that they don't ever want to own a pair of wellies, but it's the best bit of kit you're ever going to buy. So probably a pair of wellies. But if you don't want a pair of wellies, just a decent pair of walking shoes. You don't have to spend a fortune. But I think possibly a lot of people don't realise quite how accessible the countryside is. If you haven't spent a lot of time in it, I think what I would say is it is entirely accessible. There's a very, very good football system. It's there. It's get the OS app on your phone. Use a map if you want. Whatever works for you. Go and enjoy it.
With your guides, do you need to be able to use a map and a compass, or is everything that you need in the pages of the book?
In all honesty, everyone should you have to take responsibility for your own navigation when you're out and about. I do the absolute best I can to provide written instructions, but that won't account for unexpected things like footpath signs that have gone missing, or routes that might be blocked.
What about Mr. Angry Farmer who's going red and there's steam coming out of his ears?
Yeah, all that.
With a 12 ball.
Yeah, all that, yes.
Have you encountered him?
No, I think the worst I've encountered is in some places the footpaths are not as obvious as they should be. Ultimately, if the footpath is clearly signed, then anyone walking there will stay on the path. If it's not clearly signed, then they could end up straying anywhere. Yeah. In all seriousness, I do the best I can to provide the instructions. We have illustrated maps in here. They're not OS maps; they're the illustrated maps. You probably, I think everyone, ultimately, you have to take responsibility for your own navigation, and that would include, I'm not sure you're going to need a compass, but a map of some sort, whether that's an app on your phone or a paper map, or just having a rough idea where you are. It's always going to be important, I would say. And we all get lost all the time because sometimes the signs aren't there, or you just take a wrong turn, or you're busy talking and you miss a turn, and it happens. But I would like to think this is a safe area in that you're not going to fall off a cliff.
I think the big advantage of one of those, a book like that, is that it can be a living document. So somebody goes out for a walk, they take it and they'll scribble a few little notes in it, and then they'll pass it on to somebody else, and they'll go and do the same. And so you've got a dynamic document developing.
And you've just latched onto a thought which I have only just had in the last few days, that it'd be useful if we had a little
notes.
Notes section either after each walk or at the end, listing all the walks, saying date you did it, who you did it with, that sort of thing, because it's quite nice to keep a record of things, isn't it? I think we all enjoy that.
Yeah, and that's not a digital thing.
No. I mean, it can be, but
no, because I've got photographs of all the walks I've done with the kids.
Yeah.
But they're photographs on my phone, and once you've looked at them and spent on Facebook, you never look at them again.
I think that too. Yeah. That's the danger, isn't it, with all your digital images? Fine, they're there online.
Yeah, and you have your moment, your Instagram moment. Look how much fun I'm having, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, and no, you're right, and that is a concern.
So let's give you a plug. So where can people buy them?
Will's Pub Walks is available in Walkers, in Stamford and Oakham, and in village shops all across the area. It's in bookshops in.
What about that great big online marketplace?
No, it is not available.
Thank God for that.
No. It is available online from theactivemag.com. Where we that's our own portal.
So we'll stick a link up for that.
Theactivemag.com.
Yeah.
Where we sell it direct, but no, it's sold to a wide network of local village shops, garden centres, from Bourne through Stamford and Rutland across to Market Harbour and down to Oundle, it's all over the place basically.
What does one book cost?
Will's Pub Walks is £10.95.
And how many walks in each book?
21 walks in the first 3, and
so
then
God, it's a 50p a walk. Are you listening, people? 50p a walk.
Yeah, good maths. But there's and then in the next book there's 15 walks, because actually last year the feedback I got from the Christmas fairs was that people were finding 21 walks a bit daunting in the book, because the reality is time is short, isn't it? It takes people. Not everyone can go out for a nice walk every day. They're available in the shops all across the area and theactivemag.com. Guys,
Will, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been really interesting.
No, thanks. It's a pleasure to meet you both.
Thank you. We now move on to our chat with Wakar and Justin giving us a potted history of the ever so slightly spooky history of the building.
That's good. Well, and the Angler is the most recent pub in your group, isn't it?
I think
you have some more coming soon. Yeah. But right now, do you know very much about the building?
Oh my God! Every day I heard the different story, because we have the different customer from different place, and they said, "Oh, I'm just here to see the Angler," and by the time we are talking about how come you are here, sort of thing, and they say, "Oh, I born in here."
I was born in here.
Yeah, I was born in here because it was maternity hospital.
It was. Although that customer must be quite old.
Yeah.
Because I found out that it closed as a maternity hospital in 1955.
I would hope so.
So they're at least 70, whoever it is.
Really? Wow.
Unless they sort of snuck in. The pub had a bit of a sideline going on, but people that don't know the Angler, it's in Mill Street, which is a very old, 200-year-old plus street.
It is the poshest street in Oakham as well.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, in terms of the
rents,
the stores and the rents and everything, it's quite. It's a poor man's Stamford, really, isn't it? So it's the building from outside. It is clearly old, but it doesn't really look like a pub. It's not obvious that it's a pub. I don't think.
In that case, we have to do renovation then.
No, you don't want it.
You're trying to ask to put some money, yeah?
It kind of.
Walker, we make the jokes.
All right, then that's good. I like jokes.
Well, the building is about 250 years old, and it looks like a sort of I say it doesn't look like a pub. It looks like a sort of classic oldie English dwelling, but it's only actually been a hospitality venue for about 50 or 60 years. Before that, it went through many different incarnations. Yes, it was never built as a pub.
What was its first?
It was, I don't know the exact dates, but it started life in the late 1700s, and it was 2 separate dwelling houses. And sometime around about 1830, the 2 were combined and connected, and something called the Mill Street Commercial Academy was established. Now, I don't know what that is, but my guess is it might have been some kind of business school or something with a name like that.
Yeah.
Wow. It was run by a chap called William Frisbee. I was curious, and I thought, could it be? I couldn't find anything out about William Frisbee.
All right.
But I suspect that the family were not the best, because a Frisbee around that time was deported to Australia.
Really?
Yes, and he was definitely below decks. He wasn't. He was a deportee, not a deporter. So,
ironically, with the name Frisbee, he didn't come back.
No. And sadly, the boat that he was on sunk en route, so he never actually made it.
Oh gosh.
So after it was the academy, in the 1840s, it became a girls' school that was run by a lady called either Ezra or Eliza Charity. So it wasn't a charity, she was just called Charity. And it stayed in that way for about 50 years, until the 1890s, when she retired. It was then taken over by Franciscan nuns and turned into a convent. So I can imagine during that 40 or 50 years, the thought of it being a bawdy public house was probably not top of their list. But and it only lasted about a year, and then it became a boarding school for girls. And to board your child right here in 1900 cost £30 for the year, which excluded medical fees, which is quite ominous.
How does that compare to modern?
Well, put it this way: even if it were 1900 under the government, in January it would become £36 because of the VAT. But I don't know. £30 still seems to be quite a lot, really, for 1900.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing that was
cheap.
a lot.
It was probably too much, because it only lasted 3 years, and then it became a hospital. And
so a proper hospital rather than a maternity hospital.
Yes, it was a hospital, and then over the next 40 or 50 years, it had various roles as a hospital. I think it briefly became a dwelling house again in the 30s, and then it went back to being a hospital, which in the end was closed down and became the Rutland Memorial Hospital, because it got too small. Yeah. And it was owned, or it was a proprietor, but when the National Health was obviously prior to 1948, hospitals were privately owned, or charity owned, or whatever, and then the National Health Service acquired them, and the person who ran that hospital stayed on until retirement in 55, after which it started its life as a hostelry.
I've got a horrible, just to interrupt you a sec, I was just thinking about the cellar.
Yeah.
If this was a hospital, I've got a horrible feeling that that would have been the morgue.
Oh my God.
Because they've got to keep the dead bodies somewhere.
That's it.
Yeah.
I ain't drinking in there.
Well, if you actually look at a map, this is the dead centre of Oakham.
Stop saying that. We are in different level now.
Yes, there's been a few gaps, but in the late 70s, it was actually a hotel with a cellar bar. So the cellar that you sort of resurrected as a venue, that's still there, and that was obviously used in the 70s. And then my first recollection of the place is the Rutland Angler in the late 90s. Didn't come here much, but came here once or twice. It then turned into the infamous Calico's, which was not somewhere that I frequented because I was far too old. But both my sons enthusiastically supported it during their misspent youths. And then that closed down, and there's been a couple of short-lived occupants. Probably COVID did for both of them. And now we're here with Walker.
Yeah.
And the next chapter.
Oh, this is.
The good news for our listeners is that you've got some real ale.
That's it. We got the Citra, amazing Citra. It's popular Citra.
Citra. And at the moment, you've got Timothy Taylor Landlord as well.
That's it.
Which I'm drinking now. It's really nice. Well
Thank
kept.
you. Thank you.
You've certainly got the scope. I mean, for people that haven't been in it, you've got a really nice bar area.
Thank you.
And you've got a separate room with a pool table.
Yeah.
And you've got another room which is specifically for quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you've got a huge restaurant area. And then you've got the cellar place downstairs. So you've definitely got the scope.
Yeah,
it's big. It's a big building.
The cellars haven't been shown. It's a great place for 30, 40 people, maybe, to have a private function or something like that. It's quite a unique space in Oakham, with the vaulted ceilings.
That's
and
right.
It's very old, and who knows, after what we found out earlier, we might be sharing it with a few ghosts.
Have you seen any ghosts?
Not so far.
Not so far. Any stories of ghosts?
I haven't heard anything, so to be honest.
Would you tell us if you had?
Of course I will.
People love ghosts.
Oh,
They do.
really?
Oh, yeah.
People come for miles if you tell them you've got a ghost.
Yeah, if you've got a ghost story, crikey. Not sure you attract the right sort of people, but...
So if you had to... if you're trying to persuade someone to try Nepalese curry for the first time, what would you... Is there a particular dish or a particular type of dish that you would recommend?
We got the chicken ram. This is really popular at the moment. And there is one LKK, Lasun Kukura Khursani. So Lasun, Nepalese is garlic. Kukura, it means chicken. And Khursani, it means chili.
Okay.
Don't be scared, because we don't put that much chili in there, just a little bit.
Why not? I love chili.
Yeah, but not everybody, because it's depend on their choice. You know, we always ask what sort of like spice level would you like. So
you were able to turn up and down the temperature on the dishes.
Yeah.
So if somebody says, "Oh, I like the look of that, but I don't like it too spicy," you can have all of the flavors, but without the spice.
Yeah, because we are here to look after people and make them happy. So. And friendly and their home. Whoever come here, I always say to them, this is your home, your house. We are just here to serve you. Without you, we can't go ahead, isn't it? So need to be both hands together to go ahead.
That's brilliant. So we don't pay, it's all free as well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, so many times we do free curry, free, whatever, even if you... Yeah, so...
Well, you're a business, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's great.
We always check with customer what sort of thing they want, and we want to do it together, so...
And how is it going? How long have you been here now?
We've been here since September.
And how is it going?
It's amazing, because we're getting so much good review. To be honest with you, we haven't had chance to do big advertisement for publicity, but whatever we are getting, we are happy, and we're getting so much good review, and because of that, we have hope we'll do better, and it will go definitely.
So if people want to discover you through social media, you've got a Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook.
And what's that called?
The Angler.
The Angler Oakham.
Yeah.
And you're on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, and we got our website as well. So
and the website is
The Angler Oakham. So once you go there, you can book the table, you can book the room. We got the 6 letting room, so you can book from there as well. So and you can see the Nepalese dish we have on our website as well. So
cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So it was really nice chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time, and we'll be back soon for our free curry.
Thank you so much. Can't wait.
We'll bring our friends and our wives.
Yeah.
Please, we need your support and help, and we can.
Thank you, Walker.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this latest pub natter. As you know, we do not make any money from these podcasts. Our aim is to promote the watering holes in and around Rutland and give a voice to our local folk. You can help us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast host. Reviews increase the audience, which helps to promote our pubs and guests. Our next podcast will be recorded in the Captain Noel Newton in Oakham, and we chat with Kaylee, the manager, and our guest is Jim Irvine, who is famous for discovering the remains of a 3rd century Roman villa in a field in Rutland. The music is by Tom Arnold. That was a Pub Natter broadcast.